Hello students, this is Waqar Ahmed, your economics teacher, and I sincerely hope that all of you are doing well back home and you are devoting enough time for studies as well as for other activities. Now we are talking about chapter number 8, income determination and investment multiplier, and more or less we have covered the complete chapter. Now, this lesson will be more like a doubt clearing session. So, I asked you to set me your doubts, and I have received some doubts. So, let us talk about them. Number one is that is there any difference between autonomous investment and investment? So, as we know that investment is of two types, autonomous investment and induced investment. But for the sake of simplicity and understanding, in this book, investment is written as autonomous investment sometimes, or we can say that wherever investment is written or autonomous investment is written, both are one and same thing. Now, second one is a correction from my side. In the third question of ADAS approach, the answer of consumption expenditure is written as 2950 crore, whereas the correct answer is 3000 crores. Now, afterwards, some students have asked me to specifically explain again question number first, question number third, and question number 9. So, let us move to that part now. Now, in first problem, 75% of change in income is spent on consumption expenditure, or we can say that 75% of the changed income is consumed. So, MPC will be 0.75. Delta I is equals to 1000 crore is given in the question. So, in solution, first we will use the formula K is equals to 1 upon 1 minus MPC, and the value of K will be 4. Then we will use next formula of K, which is delta Y upon delta I. We have calculated K, as you can see, and delta I is given in the question. So, we can easily calculate delta Y as 0.75 into 4000, which is 3000 crores. Now, after calculating the values of K and delta Y, we will calculate value of delta C by using the formula of MPC, which is delta C upon delta Y, and we know that MPC is 0.75. We have calculated the value of delta Y, which is 4000 crore. So, delta C can be calculated as MPC into delta Y, which is 3000 crore. Now, the value of delta S can be calculated in two ways. First, as you can see or you are seeing in the solution, delta S is equals to delta Y minus delta C. 4000 crores minus 3000 is equals to 1000 crore. Now, as we calculated the value of delta C from MPC, the value of delta S can also be calculated from MPS. So, you can do it on your notebook. MPS is equals to delta S upon delta Y. MPS will be 0.25, delta Y is 4000. So, 0.25 multiply 4000 is equals to 1000 crore. So, both ways the value of delta S will be 1000 crore. So, this is how you can solve question number 1. Now, problem number 3, and as you are seeing on your screen that according to me, the real problem in question number 3 you might have been facing or feeling is that understanding why the value of delta Y is 1000 crore. So, let us read question once. An investment of 250 means delta I results in increase in income by 3 times more than the increase in investment. Now, you need to understand that the questioner has or the examiner has used the word more. The value of delta Y might have been 750 if it is written as increase in income by 3 times than the increase in investment, but 3 times more means whatsoever delta I is, that plus you need to add up 3 times more value, because it is not 3 times, it is 3 times more. So 250 plus 750 is equals to 1000 crore, and rest, as you can see in the solution, rest of the values can easily be calculated. So according to me, the main problem was in understanding the value of delta y. Rest can easily be calculated. So I hope that I have made the point clear. Still, in case of any difficulty, you can call me back. Now question number or problem number 9. Here we need to consider two things. First, that the equilibrium level of national income is 12,000 crore, and examiner wants to take that level to 20,000 crore. So the change the examiner expecting is of 8,000 crore. Why? That is why that the delta y has been taken as 8,000. Okay. Now the second point, the ratio between MPC and MPS is 3:1, and we all know that MPC plus MPS is equals to 1. So 3 MPC ratio 1 MPS is equals to 1. So we can say that whatever the value of MPS is, MPC is 3 times more. So 3 plus 1 is equals to 4, and that 4 is equals to 1. So we need to divide MPC and MPS into 4 equal parts, and 4 equal parts of 1 are 0.25. So MPC will be 0.75 and MPS will be 0.25. And one more method of solving these type of questions is that you should assume that whatever the ratio is, that is equal to 100%. For example, in the problem number 10, maybe I have taken the ratio as 4:1. So 4:1 is equals to 100%, means 4 plus 1, 5. We need to divide 5 into 100 into 5 equal parts, which is 20%. So 4 MPC, 1 MPS, or if you will multiply 4 with 20 and 1 with 20, so the value will be 0.8 MPC and 0.2 MPS. If you will check your question number 10, you must, if the answers are correct, then you must have done them like this. So if both these points are clear, then I think that you can easily solve this problem or the next steps of the problem. Tell me if these things are not clear to you, I'll explain them again. So we have completed chapter number 8, income determination and multiplier, completely. Now we will be starting chapter number 9 in our next classes. But before moving on to chapter number 9, I'll advise you to recall AD-AS approach, that equilibrium happens only when AD is equals to AS in any economy, and generally every economy is trying to be there, but it is not as easier, or it is easier said than done. So generally in economies, the situation of disequilibrium prevails, and all the governments and central banks of the world are trying to take their economies through different policies, framing of different instruments, or with the help of different instruments, from these situations of disequilibrium towards equilibrium. And two words written in front of your screen, inflation and deflation, are kind of very important, or these are the factors which control or which decides whether economy will be in equilibrium or not. So you must be very clear in your thought process that what inflation is and what deflation is. We have studied or discussed in the class as well that inflation is of two types: demand push and demand pull and cost push, and generally we will be talking about both of these. But why inflation happens? Inflation happens in any economy when money supply increases and the supply of goods and services does not increase proportionally. So people have got more money to spend, or more money is chasing less goods and services, which make goods and services expensive. First thing first. Now, what is deflation? Deflation is just the opposite of this situation, means supply of goods and services is more, but people have got less money. So, more goods and services are chasing less money, which makes goods and services cheaper, and deflation happens, or deflation prevails in any economy. So, let us understood through an animated video the basic idea of inflation and deflation.
Assume your monthly income were to somehow double. Congratulations! You can now, for the most part, afford to buy 2 times more stuff. But what if the monthly income of everyone else were to also double? Well, in that case, you'd no longer be able to buy 2 times more stuff, because since everyone else also earns 2 times more, there would be 2 times more money chasing roughly the same number of goods. Let's take things one step further. What if your income doubles, but the income of everyone else triples? In that case, you'd actually become poorer. Why? Because making 2 times more money is not enough to keep up with everyone else, who now makes 3 times more. If there's an overall increase in the price of goods and services of X% this year, you have to earn at least X% more than last year to avoid becoming poorer in real terms. History makes the effects of inflation crystal clear. Today, each dollar buys you approximately 39 times less potatoes than 100 years ago, or 20 times less coffee, 24 times less bread, and so on. When the prices of goods and services go down, we have deflation. Lower prices may seem like a blessing, but deflation is actually a curse because it generates a vicious circle. If prices go down, the profits of businesses tend to go down with them, and the economy suffers. A lot of people therefore either lose their jobs or have to accept lower wages. And what do people do when they have less money? They consume less. What happens if people consume less? There's less demand for goods and services. And what's the consequence of reduced demand? You've guessed it, an even bigger deflation problem. But can't those who haven't lost their jobs or had a decrease in income spend more to compensate? Well, they could, but that's probably not going to happen. Why? For the simple reason that seeing your neighbor face financial difficulties makes you more pessimistic as well, and therefore, even those who haven't yet suffered income or job loss will become more cautious and consume less. There you have it. Vicious Circles 101.
So students, after seeing this video, I think that the basic idea of inflation and deflation is very much clear to you, and we will further develop the idea of inflation and deflation, characteristics, effects, when we will start chapter number 9. So that's it for today. Tomorrow you will have an assignment of chapter number 8, which I sincerely hope and believe that you will do during your Saturday and Sunday, and then on Monday we will have an online test in the form of Google Forms of chapter number 8, and I think that we will be starting chapter number 9 from Tuesday onwards. So that's it from my side. Stay healthy, stay inside. Bye.